Hello and welcome. My name is Nitin, and today we are at Mumbai at RICS Real Estate Investment Summit. And we are here with Mr. Samir Shah, who is a senior professional with 30 years of experience working with Wipro. He's coming with techno-commercial expertise and expertise in management from last 30 years of experience with various organizations. Welcome, Samir. Thank you for
Hello,
joining us today.
Nitin. Nice meeting with you. First of all, thank you, Nitin, and thank you, RICS, for providing me this opportunity. In this conference, we got a good time. It's a rainy day in Mumbai, and then it's good to have a discussion on the real estate. So, my background, I am MRICS for last 12 years. I am helping RICS for assessments for last 8 years and also mentoring the student who want to be RICS. So
Right.
I am glad that I am part of this family. And in addition, I also hold professional certification as a project management professional from PMI. I'm a chartered engineer myself and also a fellow member of Institution of Engineers. I did my master's long ago in 2000 in 1996. I hold my bachelor degree in civil engineering in 1995, and since then, which is last 30 years, I am doing in professional services.
Right.
I worked with a spectrum of real estate. I work with the companies like Wipro, where I'm working right now. In addition to that, I work with the Shapoorji Pallonji, I work with the JMC projects, I work with Siemens, General Motors, and SR. These are the few companies which I work with. For last 30 years, I begin with my career with developing and delivering multiple projects. So to name with, I delivered India's and Asia's at that time largest pharmaceutical complex from Zydus Cadila. I worked with the largest bottling plant for Coca-Cola bottling plant. We call it Coke. I developed and delivered largest glass manufacturing or picture tube manufacturing plant for Videocon Narmada glass. I developed India's first control station for oil and gas, Kane Energy at that time. Now it is part of Indian conglomerate. And so upstream D6, KG-D6 basin for eastern coast of India. And now at Wipro, delivering in service company.
Sure, that's a broad spectrum of areas that you've covered and a variety of experience that you've had.
Correct.
So, see, you have been in the industry for last 30 years. You have seen a lot of ups and downs with the industry, and you have seen the evolution of the industry from something which was just looked at as a business wherein someone is wearing a yellow hat, sitting in the standing in the sun, doing the construction or making sales of property. Since then, the industry has evolved a lot, and we have hundreds of roles, be it someone doing a leasing or a valuation or a quantity surveying or a research or something else. So help us understand how the industry has evolved in front of you, and what are the areas that you can see that people can look at to build up their career.
So first of all, let me tell you first that it was not yellow hat. This was when I started my working. Even wearing in PPE was a challenge.
Yeah.
The worker who used to work on the site and on the hot summer, especially typically in India, which we have, people were reluctant to even use PPEs.
Yeah.
From that area, I have moved from here. There we have a proper PPEs. We have a proper entire system to do a safety and this thing. And the development has not happened only in terms of HSC and that, but also in terms of cost, in terms of contracting, in terms of technology, how we deliver the project, how we deliver the concrete and do a pour card, how we do our shuttering system, how we plan our projects, the way of productivity, how we use the equipment in construction. So
Right.
I would say in entire spectrum, I have seen a huge development. People used to trend that only in manufacturing or automobile or IT are the companies where industry developed, but that is not the case. Probably in real estate as a spectrum, not only
Right.
real estate as a housing, but as a spectrum from industry to manufacturing to road to bridges, it has developed a huge, large leap has been taken, and it is also reflecting in the academics which I see. Generally, I go to and meet the students. The way I studied myself and attended my lectures way back when I was a student as an engineer till now, where if I go to any academics and interact with the student, I found that the curiosity, the way they ask questions, the curriculum, everything has changed.
Right.
So in nutshell, there is a huge development happened in construction industry, so called, and I think I am also excited equal that the industry which I see next year further down the line, there is a huge potential to increase, to improve further.
Right. So you coming from contracts and have a bulk of exposure there. So how important would the contracts be for people coming from a project management or let's say leasing risk management point of view? What is the importance of contract and negotiation in these roles?
See, contract is nothing but a document which defines the obligation of both or some generally two parties, but it can be also tripartite kind of an agreement. But the document is very structured. It is having a legal coverage into it, so there is a legal obligation by both the parties. It covers the scope. It covers the commercial angle, which talks about the payment, the money, the change in law, the taxation, and so on and so forth, the cash flow. It talks about the risk. So basically, it is a document which covers the entire spectrum of the delivery and the obligation.
Right.
And the way I look into contract is because I have managed the contract from the other side of the table, which is the developer.
Right.
And I consider contract is the great tool to deliver a project or to a success of a project. So 2-3 aspects I would like to advise.
Sure.
Number one is risk or ERM, which you largely covered. So contract transfer the risk to a party. Contract also negotiate the risk. That means the competent party should cover that risk. So like and client or employer primary role is to provide fund, obviously, provide the approvals, which is a government and stuff like that, to execute the project, to give a requirement, what do you want basically, and if they take care of that part clearly, then the contractor role is to do a design and talk about the competent person who also do a design to execute the work, and both of them partner as a part of contract by doing a contract sign off. Then it will be a great successful project delivery. So second part is a fairness. So generally what happens that in India, especially Indian context, the contracts are generally one-sided. And the person who write the contract, who is generally a client, who thinks that if I cover everything in my favor, things will work well. That is not the case in nowadays.
Right.
So one-sided contract never deliver a successful project. So if the contract is fair, it takes care of interest of both the parties or all the 3 parties, then it has a very high amount of success.
Right.
Third is the principle of contract is we are not talking about contract to squeeze the commercial part or the squeeze on the party. If you have a contract which takes of fairness and it's a collaborative way of contracting with an aim of delivery and partnership, then probably it works well.
Safeguarding the interest of both the parties that ways.
Correct. So all put together, if you sign a contract, you write a contract with clarity of scope, clarity of commercial things, and it's a fair on both the parties, it has a very high amount of success which can deliver. It's a dispute avoidance, I would say. It's not.
Right. And all the teams who are involved in the execution part or the delivery really need to understand the contract really well to be able to deliver it in the right shape and form.
Correct.
Right.
As an example, in my last assignment, we delivered 9.6 million square feet of commercial space, which I mentioned earlier. We have invested close to 5,000 crore, and a maze of contract was created. When I say maze of contract, means each project was divided the way of packages, and each package was thoughtfully thought that what kind of a commercial mechanism, what kind of a contracting model should be there, and each contract would interconnect it. So a project which was thought through how to deliver and then divided into multiple packages and then thoughtfully thought of a commercial model and contracting model. So we were able to successfully deliver all the project without any dispute at fair price, and both were happy. At the end, the contractor or the supplier was happy that they could deliver the project. We were happy as a client that we got the project right in time, right in the cost, reasonable cost. And by the way, we sailed through issues like demonetization, to general elections, a couple of flood or high rain position, COVID, transition from VAT and service tax to a GST. So these are very important, event which has happened, and we have sailed through all this thing without any dispute, without going into litigation, and that's how the contract should work. That's a real example of what we delivered.
That's why those documents have to be written with the utmost precision and insights of everything around, starting with known knowns and unknown unknowns.
Correct.
All right. So moving ahead, you have been in a MRICS for more than a decade now. Help us understand, what brings you to the MRICS. What are the benefits you might have seen in your journey, and why is it important?
So I still remember a stalwart from industry, Mr. Satish Kumar, and we were discussing in one of the, he was our consultant at that time.
Yeah.
So we were discussing one of the coffee table conversation kind of a thing. And then I talked about, obviously he knows my background, and he says, why don't you join MRICS? And RICS, sorry. And I say, okay, why not? And then that's where my journey with RICS started. I became a member in couple of event I participated, and then I realized that this is the forum where I can speak, I can gain, I can learn, I can collaborate with colleagues, and I can do a self-development kind of a thing.
Right.
Though I spent almost 2 decades at that time, and I thought it is enough for me to understand and learn, but I realized that there were so many things to further add into my career, and still I am learning, I would say. It's not, so learning is a never-ending story,
Right.
and that's what I learned from RICS. So RICS provide me a good platform, good knowledge, good database, good events to collaborate people. Now I also an assessor, so I can evaluate the aspirant who want to join RICS, and I can see a lot of enthusiasm in the industry, in the things that people want to connect with RICS for the same valid reason which I mentioned.
Right.
And I also a mentor, so anybody who want to become an RICS, I would be happy to help them to help them to prepare a documentation, the interview, and then eventually part of our community. And so I think it's a great platform, the great forum, the great organization to join, and for continuous learning.
Sure, and within the events that you brought out, when you engage with the right people, you understand what is happening in the market, because that's not available in any of the research document or the reports which are coming in the market.
Correct.
Something which is already there. You need to be right on the ground to be able to learn from people around you, to be able to understand how things are shaping up, which is when such kind of platforms really help you in that direction.
And certainly, as I mentioned in the beginning of this conversation, that industry is growing and changing at a rapid pace.
Right.
So if you want to catch up with what is happening in the market and do connected with the ground, this kind of forum do really help. And we learn and we open our eye and see, oh wow, so many things are happening in India, in abroad, and in all the space of in industry or infrastructure, and then
Right.
we can really learn. I would say every day we can learn.
Sure. So, still, while this industry has evolved to a next level, and likewise, compared to any other sector, maybe automobile or technology or AI, things are shaping up. People are really not aware, that this industry really holds a lot of potential for people to build up their career. Now, you have been around in multiple areas or specializations that you've worked on. Currently, you are dealing with highly skilled and specialized area of the contracts and negotiations. So, and also you have expertise in facility management. So maybe you would want to draw out certain roles which you have been through in your journey, to be able to give a glimpse of how many of those areas are there for individuals to look at in terms of when they actually grow in their career journey. I mean, broadly reflect the spectrum of available opportunities in various shapes and form. And the follow-up question will be, so what will be your advice for people who would look at this sector for making their career or looking it as a career of choice?
See, the advice or things is like, first you should be in the ground. What you learn how the thing happens on the ground, and then slowly move into technology side, and then probably in the commercial side. I remember when I was working in a contracting firm, JMC Projects, so-called, and now it is Kalpataru. I was interested in contracts. which is a document. At that time, it was not much of a documentation created, and I understand that whenever the dispute happens, whenever the billing related issues happens, whenever we enter into a losses, I always pinpoint that, boss, your book on which you sign the contract, you are billing, and based on that you are fulfilling your obligation, which is executing the site. There are anomalies.
Right.
It is not clear, either drawings are not clear, BOQ is not clear, terms and conditions are not clear, commercial conditions are not clear. And the advice I got was, Samir, you are absolutely right. However, to comment on contract, you have to first learn, spend good 10 years time in industry, and then only you can start doing it. So, and that's what I followed, by the way. So my advice remains same, that you participate reasonable long period of time. Generally, now the new generation is impatient, 1 or 2 year, and they say enough, what time मैंने spend कर लिया, which is not good. To understand the real industry, you have to spend reasonable good of time, which is I get 1 decade is good enough time. You be connected to industry, including technology. So when I say technology, though I am currently following contract and commercials, I still link and relate myself that unless you know the technology, which I'm calling technology in terms of construction technology, unless you know the local practices, unless you know the local ground rules, you will not be able to write and do contribution into a contracting. So, okay, I'm just giving you an example so that people understand better. In recent past, in my current role, I have delivered 9.5 million square feet of commercial space for our own self-consumption. So when we started doing this, the first question was, should we do a conventional way like BOQ and all? So we said, no, we'll go with a lump sum. So all the time which was available for government approvals and these things, we spent all this time to complete our design, engineering, make a GFC for entire project, and then give it lump sum. The next question came is, in the first project itself, we got a learning that there are a lot of clashes between the drawing, because MEP drawing doesn't talk to civil drawing and vice versa. So the first contract we made was from a BIM model. Okay. And we call it digital twin. So we created a BIM, building information modeling, just to in the interest of people. We created a BIM modeling. We issue a contract which was based on the model itself, not the drawing. We have not delivered any single drawing. We asked some vendor or some contractor to say, well, this is the model available to you. Please bid on this model. You have to deliver this model. So it was possible only by way of understanding the technology, how it works. So we we put that this model should go into a LOD 500, which is the delivery of building as well as the delivery of digital twin to happen by a contractor instead of doing a shop drawing, instead of doing an EOT and all. So this is just an example. We tried doing a modular construction. That means we do most of the things in the factory remotely, so that less wastage, less duplication of work, better quality, and probably the better pricing.
Optimization of the process.
Optimization. We build, we call it scope 3 emission as part of our clause, which will encourage the local use of material, local use of manpower and employer. This helps the local community, which is a social impact. At the same time, it also adds net zero, which is a sustainable way of construction. We ensure that design consumes less. This is one of the way to do a sustainable construction, sustainable development. That's what people are talking about. That, but design our building so that it is net neutral or net zero. We use maximum daylight. We orient our design and building in such a way that we use the entire sun path cycle. We use the wind cycle to reduce the air conditioning requirement of the building. What I am trying to say is that though it is a contract and commercial, but by adopting all these parameters, we are talking about the life cycle of carbon emission. We are not just talking about the sustainability practices for the construction, but sustainable practices for the entire life cycle of the building or the infrastructure which you create, which is generally 50 to 100 years of life cycle. Okay, great. So, okay, my advice, again, going back to the basic question is, if you start something, there is an endless opportunity available in this industry. You can be in commercial, you can be in sustainable design, you can be in the valuation, you can be the marketing, and all put together. You can get various opportunity. You can jump between the spectrum of the infrastructure also, and it's an excitement you get without changing the industry. You have all the experience available in this.
Sure, that would be a great input for the individuals, and I'm hopeful that they would follow the path and get the fast track career growth. This was a very wonderful interaction and a conversation. A lot to learn from you, and we hope to make the most out of it through the podcast and the video. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Nitin, and it was a pleasure talking to you as well. Thank you, RICS, to providing this platform. Thank you.